Now we have Joanne Vazquez. She has been working for Morgan & Morgan for 21 years and wants to enhance her speaking skills, which is what brought her to Toastmasters. Joanne likes to take on challenges fearlessly, and we'll share some of those moments with you today. Let's welcome Toastmaster Joanne Vazquez with her icebreaker called Fearless Moments.
All right. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Good morning. Today, as I got ready for my first icebreaker, I was festering on what brought me here, right? And it reminded me of what brought my parents here. So let's start. They met in a very small town in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. I am Puerto Rican. And my mom was this very strict, religious young lady, and my dad was this rebel hippie that owned a surf shop. They were the yin and the yang. So, needless to say, they fell in love, and they ended up getting married. My dad joined the Army and got stationed in Oklahoma. Great. My mom ends up having my brother in Oklahoma, and she's like, wow, I'm really homesick. I can't raise a family here. I have to raise my family with my Puerto Rican roots are. So, sure enough, they moved back to Puerto Rico, and here I come. I came into the world. I came in early. I was fearless as a kid. I put dirt in my mouth, touched everything. And that took me back to my first memory from when I was a child in Puerto Rico. So raise your hand if you've ever been pulled over by the cops, right? Awesome. So raise your hand if you've ever been pulled over by the cops at 5 years old. That was me, but there's a story behind that, all right? So we were watching TV one day, and my brother happened to come across this commercial saying this big raffle, this department store was having a raffle for the first go-kart ever on the island. And from that moment, my brother's like, this is gonna be my car, it's mine. He would make us kneel in front of the TV while my grandparents were watching the 700 Club. If you know, you know. But we would pray during dinner. He would sit there and make us, before going to bed, kneel down and pray. And would you know it, the Lord giveth. And my brother won that go-kart, right? Fantastic. So they deliver it to the house. Shiny, it's beautiful. And at this point, at 5 years old, I am this rough and tough kid collecting scars on my knees from skateboarding and climbing trees. So you better believe driving that go-kart, that was gonna be me. But my brother was so mean. He wouldn't let me get near it. He's like, you're too young. But it was partially mine because I prayed for it too, and I felt like I should have, you know, some kind of ride. I should get along on the ride. But he wouldn't let me. So I waited for him to go into lunch, and I jumped in the go-kart. I was sped right down my street, wind blowing through my hair, and sure enough, I turn around, I hear sirens and lights, and at 5 years old, oh man, I'm getting pulled over by the cops. So I run right back home, I'm flying through the streets, pull up to my driveway, go up down my hallway into my room, and I pull the covers over my eyes, like I'm in a deep slumber, like, oh, there's nothing happening here. And not even 2 minutes later, my mom is, Joanne Marie Vazquez Gonzalez. And needless to say, you know, when they use all your name, your parents use all your names, you're in trouble. So that right there solidified to my family that I was a force to be reckoned with. I was fearless. Which brings me to my next story that involves a vehicle. Fast forward to the 2000s. I started my job working for the people, where I am today. And one of my coworkers' roommates asked me out on a date. And this guy was amazing. He was every Latina mother's dream son-in-law. He was Hispanic, loved his family, was very close to them, had a great job. He was very independent though, and he drove a Porsche. What? jackpot. I was surely going to marry this guy. So we go on our first date ever in his little Porsche driving down the road. And as I'm looking longingly into his eyes, just thinking about our future together, bam, we get hit by a car. Yep, sure enough. Next thing I know, paramedics are next to me, and they're like, ma'am, are you okay? I'm fearless, remember, so I'm like, I am perfectly fine. Well, I wake up in the ER room. Apparently I was not fine. And the nurse was telling me, ma'am, you have to call your parents or somebody to pick you up. We're going to transport you to the trauma unit at ORMC. I was like, absolutely cannot call my parents. My mother has to prep for a brain surgery tomorrow because they had just found a brain aneurysm. So that was a moment in my life I was not fearless at all. I was very fearful to call my house, but they said, you have to do it. I call, and I was like, please let my dad answer. Please, Lord, let my dad answer. Sure enough, I'm like, Dad, you next to Mom. Step away. You need to come get me at ORMC. Just a little incident happened. No big deal. Just come to ORMC. Don't tell Mommy, my mom. Next thing I know, I wake up, and my mom is on my right hand. My priest is on my left hand. Thank you, Dad. Needless to say, he definitely told my mom. Apparently, the doctors had said, hey, it's pretty serious. She waited to tell us about all her injuries, so there's a lot of internal bleeding. And so it reminds me of not only the power of prayer, right? My parents have always been there praying for my brother to get his go-kart, praying for me throughout my days, for my auto accident. She even prayed for me this morning to make sure that I had a good speech today and I was able to get through this. But it also reminded me of the power of being fearless, which is what brought me to Toastmasters here today, is to overcome my fear of speaking in public to a bunch of strangers that hopefully will be my friends here in the future. But thank you, Toastmasters, and I hope my mom's prayers were answered.
Thank you so much.